Chapter 6. Time passed. Marcus marked it not by days, but by changes in the forest. The thick summer heat gave way to golden leaves and brittle winds. Then frost settled on the morning grass, followed by the distant scent of spring. And through it all, the boy came back. Each day a little closer, a little braver. At first they traded gestures. A rock meant danger, a stick meant food, a hand to the chest, then a name, Kai, the boy's name. Marcus pointed to himself. Marcus. They practiced, mimicked, corrected. Marcus taught him Latin words. The boy returned them with their Briton tongue. They laughed at each other's mispronunciations, sometimes mocked them outright, but they kept learning. And the Druid watched. She never spoke much to Marcus, but she watched. Sometimes she gave the boy instructions before he went to Marcus. Sometimes she merely observed the strange friendship blooming between two sons of war. Seasons passed, and with each one, a ritual. Marcus didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. Each season came with fire, with chant, with sacrifice, goats, birds, herbs burned in stone circles older than Rome itself. He watched from his cage, eyes wide, ears tuned to the music of drums and wind. Each ritual was different. One bathed in red smoke, another in ash-gray powder. One danced, one wept. The forest itself seemed to change with them, as if it too listened. Through it all, Marcus grew stronger. His ankle healed, his limbs gained weight again. He stopped flinching at every voice. And though they never unlocked the cage, they stopped tying his hands. He was still a prisoner. Far to the south, inside a Roman encampment wrapped in cold steel and precision, General Elias stood beneath a gray sky. His armor shone, but his face was shadowed in thought. A rider approached, dismounted, and handed him a scroll. He unrolled it. New orders. The campaign had shifted. The Empire wanted to move east. New resistance had flared near the coast. Elias's forces were to pack up, burn what they couldn't carry, and march in 7 days. He stared toward the northern forest, his jaw tight, but the scroll bore a seal, and Rome did not ask twice. "Make ready," he said. Back in the deep woods, Marcus and Kai sat near the edge of the firelight. A few words passed between them, clumsy but real. Kai held up 2 fingers. "Tomorrow," he said in Latin. Marcus nodded. "Fire, again?" Kai grinned. "Bigger." The Druid's shadow passed behind them, and somewhere in the darkness between empires, change stirred. That night, the drums were softer, slower. Marcus sat just outside his cage now, allowed to rest near the fire under watchful eyes. Kai had brought him a blanket. The Druid gave no command. She simply nodded once, and the men did not stop him. Across the village, the people gathered in silence beneath the towering trees. The fire at the center burned low, its light casting long, dancing shadows on the trunks. Elder warriors stood on one side, children on the other. Then came the procession. One by one, villagers stepped forward holding objects, simple things, a woven tunic, a broken spear, a carved idol. Each item was placed into the fire. Marcus leaned forward, trying to understand. No one cried, no one shouted, but their faces were full of something heavier than sorrow. He leaned toward Kai. "Why?" The boy searched for the words, struggled, then pointed to the fire and said, "Gone, but still here." Marcus didn't understand until he saw the final item, a small wooden carving of a man, worn from use, pressed to the lips of an old woman before she let it go into the flame. The fire accepted it, and the village began to sing. No instruments, just voices, one note, then another, low, slow, deep like roots. Marcus's skin prickled. Kai whispered, "For those we lost, so the forest does not forget." And Marcus suddenly understood. Not a funeral, a remembering. As the fire consumed the last offering and the villagers' voices faded into stillness, Marcus sat with his eyes closed, listening to the quiet. The Druid stood at the edge of the firelight, watching the embers rise like ghosts into the sky. Then, shouts. The sudden clamor of boots on dirt. Warriors bursting through the tree line. The ritual cracked open. All heads turned as 2 Briton scouts emerged, dragging a battered figure between them. A soldier. Roman. His armor was torn, one greave missing, and dried blood crusted around his temple. He barely stood, knees buckling with each step. The Britons flung him forward, and he hit the dirt with a grunt. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Marcus stood slowly, his heart hammering in his ribs. The soldier coughed, then mumbled something. Not Briton, Latin, slurred but unmistakable. Marcus froze. The sound of his own tongue was foreign now, jagged and raw against the fire-lit hush. The villagers murmured, unsure. Then Marcus did something he hadn't done in months. He spoke. One word, a name, in Latin. The soldier's head jerked up, their eyes locked. Chapter 7. They locked eyes across the firelight. The battered Roman soldier, blood crusted at his temple, one greave missing, stared up at Marcus, confused at first, then suspicious. Marcus's heart pounded in his chest. He took a breath and spoke a single word. A name. The soldier's head jerked up, his eyes narrowed, scanning Marcus's face. Not recognition, but familiarity. "You're Roman," he muttered. "You speak Latin." Marcus didn't answer. The soldier leaned forward, sneering. "What are you doing with these animals? Who are you?" Still, Marcus said nothing. The soldier's voice rose, anger curling around his words. "You're no Briton. Look at you. What's your name, boy?" Marcus looked to the Druid, then back at the soldier. "Savage," the man hissed. "You disgrace the Empire, speaking our tongue among them? You should be ashamed." Then he spat, right at Marcus's feet. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Two warriors stepped forward and struck him. Horrid. The soldier crumpled with a grunt, groaning as he rolled onto his side. The Druid stepped closer to Marcus, her expression unreadable. She gestured for him to speak again, clearly, calmly. Marcus hesitated. He looked down at the man on the ground, then back at the faces watching him. He weighed his choices, then he said, "He wants you all dead." The Druid's eyes darkened. "He says you should kneel before Rome, that they'll burn your villages, kill your families, that no one will stop them." Silence fell across the camp like a blade. The warriors looked to the Druid, to each other. Rage simmered behind their eyes, behind clenched jaws and trembling fists. No one needed translation. That night they began to build. By firelight they dragged long timber poles into the clearing. Wicker, rope, animal bones, old symbols scrolled into the wood. Marcus watched it take shape, a towering figure, hollow inside, the Wicker Man. It grew steadily, twice the size of a man, until it loomed above them all, its wooden arms outstretched, like a grotesque sentinel watching over the camp. The structure was crude, but undeniably powerful in its design. Animal skulls hung from the ribs, old symbols carved into the bark of the wood. It was as if they were weaving a death trap, something both sacred and horrifying. The deeper into the night they worked, the more the camp came alive. Warriors hummed low chants, gathering dry hay and animal carcasses, stuffing the body of the Wicker Man with offerings of death. Bones, feathers, fur. The smell of burning wood and incense thickened in the air, the flickering flames casting unsettling shadows on the surrounding trees. And then, as if the earth itself were awakening, the drumming began. Deep, resonant beats that seemed to come from the very bones of the world itself. The sound echoed through the forest, the rhythm pulsing in the air like something alive, something ancient. The drumming vibrated in Marcus's chest, a heavy, soulful sound that felt like it had always been there, buried deep inside him, waiting for this moment. The last of the hay was stuffed into the Wicker Man's hollow chest. The warriors tied it all together with thick ropes, securing it for what was to come. And then they dragged the soldier. His eyes were wide, terror-stricken, as he was pulled, kicking and struggling toward the towering figure. They threw him into the open cavity of the Wicker Man. His body thrashed, but it was no use. They bound him with ropes, pinning him in place. He opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came. His voice lost in the overwhelming power of the music, the drumming, the sheer weight of what was happening. The leader of the tribe raised his torch high. The flames caught quickly, licking at the dry wood. The Wicker Man ignited, and as the fire spread, the camp seemed to hold its breath. Marcus stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest, the heat from the flames searing his skin. The drumming reached a fever pitch, the smoke rising in thick plumes to the sky. The Wicker Man burned.